So I wanted to we'll probably sit on this for a little bit, writing a mission statement, thinking about your project, thinking about that, thinking about just summarizing. Let's like workshop your mission, your project's mission statement, 2 to 3 sentences, like describe your project, some things to consider. How do your values shape the way you approach your project? And what needs is your project satisfying in the larger cultural context? So yeah, and I put the 9 of Cups here because the 9 of Cups is a wish fulfillment card. So your mission statement should encapsulate what it is you want to project into the world. What is this project bringing to the world, right? What is the big wish that you want this project to achieve or like accomplish? 9 of Cups holds that for us. And so I feel like having that with this idea of describing our work sets that intention for fulfilling it in the future. So yeah, I'm going to take a little bit of time. If people in the Zoom room want to just maybe work on their end and put something in the chat of your project's mission statement. And then, yeah, I don't think we have any paper, but we do have pencils.
Yeah, we have paper and pencils.
Oh, do we have paper too?
Yeah, I think so.
Let me see.
And if not, I have some.
Yeah, take a little time to do that. And that way we can kind of share with each other our mission statements and maybe like see how we can tweak them or enhance them to really reflect what it is you're trying to do with your work. I'll go back to ENTRE's mission statement in case you all want to like use that as a reference. This mission statement literally is just 2 sentences broken up into 2 paragraphs. So, and it's what really got me started on seeking funding for ENTRE through grants, is just focusing that into these 2 concise sentences that really encapsulate what we're trying to do with the space.
What I like about this mission statement is that it tells me, as somebody who's not a participant or partner right now, immediately like what I have in common with you. It allows me to figure out where our missions connect. Like as somebody who is interested in movies and personal documentation, like I zero right in on the creation, exhibition, and preservation of community-based cinema. Like that the importance of that as a particular kind of medium. Like I can see right away that as a participant in Home Movie Day and as somebody who's really interested in those things, like that's the hook for me. Like and if on the other hand, I was somebody who worked in performance or dance, you know, other forms of expression would be the thing that I connect to. Like, so I think of these details in a mission statement as being like doorways that lead me down different paths to collaboration or partnering.
Most definitely, yeah, and the specificity of the location of where we're at, right, for ENTRE is super important because it's definitely like there's nothing like that exists in the valley right now, in the Rio Grande Valley where I'm from. And there hasn't ever been anything like that. So it's important to be very specific about where we are because it informs what we're doing with the creation, preservation, and exhibition of this work. It's because it's hyperlocal to that, but it's commenting on borders in a larger sense. Like anyone who is from a border community across the globe can relate to the importance of archiving that lived experience in their region, because it's usually those areas that are underserved and underrepresented in museums and cultural centers such as like what we have in the valley. So it goes back to the micro and the macro sort of idea, like going between, there's a syndrome called the Alice syndrome, I think it's called, where you have this feeling of being very small and very big all at once. And it's like this breathing, living thing. So that's kind of how and the liminality of living in the border area lands, like it kind of gives you that same feeling, like you're from this very small specific community, but in the greater sense, the border communities are all the same in a certain way, you know? So it's just like kind of navigating that in-betweenness and finding out what, you know, where your project lies between there and how you can encapsulate that.
I was just thinking about how we think of borders often as lines that divide
Mhm.
two things, but that's actually the point at which these two
Convergence.
things meet.
Yeah.
That's where they come together. So the fundamentally blended nature of border territory
Yes.
is fascinating.
Is there anyone in the Zoom room that wants to share anything about their mission statements or for the projects that they're working on currently?
I just did like a worker run film collective that facilitates the creation and position and care for all mediums of video and photography.
Oh, I love it.
Okay, yeah, that's great. And what about, because you were very specific about the location of where you were working in. So I think mentioning the region that you want to focus on is really important, because I think that is definitely like a big point in its importance. Like, how does that work that you're describing so succinctly impact that culture and that community? That what is the need for that? Then what does that work serve the community for? You know, like, or how does the work serve the community, right? So I think adding something like that is helpful for sure.
Yeah, the journalistic lead.
Yes, exactly.
Who, what, where, when, and why. You know, the you know, who you're serving. And if it's everybody, like being explicit about that, if it's inclusive versus exclusive, the way we craft our statement, like the ENTRE statement talks about including other voices and specifically, you know, raising voices that tend not to get heard.
Like, we'll go into it after lunch, but like how these mission statements really will, like, if you're just starting this project, they really will help in pursuing funding for getting the work done, you know, so that way, or, you know, connecting with other orgs that want to know more about your work. At least you have that, and it's very like, this is what I want to do, this is who it's affecting, this is why it's important, you know, and that will just tell them what they need to know first, right off the bat, like Snowden says, like a pitch, you know, and not to make it so industry film industry standard, whatever, but yeah, you do want to like be able to give them all that information up front in a very concise way so that people can be like, oh, I am on board with that, I want to help out, you know, like, how can we collaborate, you know, and get people excited about it. So I think it's off to a great start, but being very specific about the intention and why you want to do this is very important.
It's funny that you say pitch, like you know, the reason we talk in like regular language about like, oh, it's like, you know, all about Eve, but with strippers, for, you know, Magic Mike, like, it's because it's people can relate to that. And so, yeah, like thinking about the people and projects that inspire you, and it's okay to relate things to, you know, to the well-known famous example, and saying like, oh, you know, we're sort of like X or Y, or blank without the blank, you know,
yes.
Or you know, Home Movie Day, we talk about it as a bring your own film festival, which has been helpful in some ways, but we, no matter what, like whenever we were reaching out on a Home Movie Day event for publicity or press, they always ask us, what movies are you going to show? And we're like, we don't know. And that's the best part. So sometimes it's the start of a conversation or an education process. It's not like sometimes a mission statement, like it's never going to be enough, but
yeah, most definitely won't be enough. Like what Snowden just mentioned made me think about how I made when I first pitched ENTRE to Andres, because it was something that I've been wanting to do for a while after being involved with the Echo Park Film Center. And I was like, if I had something like this growing up, it would have changed the game for me as a young artist. I was doing video art in high school and did not know what video art was, and no one was there to support me in it because they didn't have the language or the resources to be like, oh, what you're doing is this, you should try go hang out at this film center, you know, like you'll get the support and encouragement you need. There's none of that there. So after that, I realized like, oh, wow, this would have been a game changer. And also when I lived in New York, I was involved with Mono no Aware, which is another artist-run film lab out there in Brooklyn, and taking workshops from them. And I was just like, well, this is awesome too, you know, and then just thinking about these different organizations that are like Mono no Aware, like Scribe Video Center in Philadelphia, like Echo Park Film Center, gave me a blueprint, right? So you can refer to like, so what I did, I wrote like this manifesto for ENTRE and like what we stood for, what the values we had, what we were going to be working on in terms of the archive and the film center, like what that entailed, what we supported. And then I referenced all the orgs that inspired me and why and just pulling ideas from those orgs to create a new thing for this specific region was super important, and was what Andres was just like, you had this 3-page manifesto that had all these links and orgs and everything. He was like, it was very well researched, very well put together. I was on board because he's a very hard person to collaborate with. He doesn't really like to do that with people. He likes to work on his own a lot. But when he saw that and all the effort and all the links to other things, he was just like, you know what? Yes. And so it gives people a little bit more context about like what you're trying to do. The mission statement is just like a small part of that, when you're just like, you just need something to really like talk about what it is overall you do, but you can always, diverge into the larger web of ideas and blueprints that you've come across that will support the mission that you're trying to put forth, right? Do you have anything on Anastasia that you want to share?
So the way I was approaching it, I was like, oh, I'll just make a mission statement for like the symposium I would want to do related to food and some of the food history in our collections.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not like borrowing and in some way not. You want me to continue?
Yeah.
So I like to like a mini window exhibit and display. When I first arrived, and I called it Malibu Stew, so I just called that it. But Malibu Stew celebrates the people and palettes of Malibu past and present. This symposium will present material written and spoken Malibu food stories.
Nice. Malibu Stew, STEW. Nice.
Yes. Especially that there's food stories in there. It's great.
Yes.
Archivists stand a solid acronym. I feel like so many things can like unfold from good acronym.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I say this working for the blocks program.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's so choice. Well done.
Awesome. Anyone on the Zoom, we're going to take a break. If you'd like to share anything, I'll be here until we get our lunch here. So if you ever want to pop off and say anything, just raise your hand and we'll get you